Live from ABC News, this is continuing coverage of Hurricane Michael.
You're watching ABC News Live. I'm David Wright in New York, and this is continuing coverage of Hurricane Michael. We are expecting any moment now an update from Florida Governor Rick Scott, who has already called this the worst storm that the Florida Panhandle has seen in a century. The storm already causing major damage and likely has taken some lives. Packing winds of 155 miles an hour as it made landfall at about 1 o'clock this afternoon in the Florida Panhandle. A wall of water up to 14 feet high in some areas. Winds alone strong enough to rip the roofs off of houses and cause major flooding in some areas with that storm surge. As we wait for Florida Governor Rick Scott, we're going to turn first to ABC's Sam Champion, who's got the bird's eye view of this storm as it tracks inland now. He's at a weather center in Miami. Sam, what can you tell us?
Hey, David, I'm just looking at the latest update. We were expecting one to come out right now at the top of the hour. And so we have 115 mile per hour wind inside this storm right now. And that makes it still a Cat 3 storm. I'm just going to set that down while we show you what's going on. All of that is very interesting to see the center of this storm pull into Georgia as a Category 3. With 115 mile per hour winds. Now, in this area, we were expecting and we were kind of forecasting for people that they would see winds that were about 90 miles an hour. In that southern section of Alabama, in this southern section of Georgia, we definitely expected that with the storm, but it's surpassing that. It's held together a little longer, it's maintained its strength a little longer, and so we're seeing this area, this extreme wind warning that runs kind of just from the edge of Dothan all the way into Georgia, where in this area, the area shaded in purple, we're seeing winds of 110 miles per hour plus. So that's well inland from the storm. Look, so it came inland here. There's the coast of Florida, and it's been all the way across the Florida Panhandle, now into Georgia, and still maintained an incredible strength. So for these folks that are in Georgia, and we definitely have that tornado watch, and we have a flash flood watch out for that area as well, and flash flood warnings out for parts of the Panhandle here as that rain continues to fall. The other thing I would tell you that's a little update to this, we expected more rain to be flowing on the east side of this storm, but look how much heavy rain we've gotten in the southern section of Alabama. So that's something to be known when people are out there looking, that there's a lot of heavy rain and the potential for some flooding in that rain. We'll watch this system track all the way through Georgia, go into South Carolina by the time we're into tomorrow, head on in through North Carolina, and then exit the coastline just about where the border of Virginia and North Carolina meets. So that's right around the Norfolk area on late Friday. Let's call it Thursday at midnight, Friday morning at like 1 or 2 a.m. when we expect the exit there. And from what we've been there, so there exactly what you can see. And the interesting thing here is by Thursday at 2 p.m. near Raleigh with the center of that circulation with a wind of about 45 miles per hour. But look what happens when it exits the coast and goes back into the Atlantic. Look at that wind speed. Friday at 2 a.m., we're talking about 60 miles per hour. So there's still going to be some strengthening, enough circulation. This is what the Hurricane Center thinks of this storm. Enough circulation maintains the entire track from connection to land to exit back into the Atlantic that we see strengthening of this storm once it leaves back to 60 miles an hour.
Can I stop you there and ask you a question?
Now. Sure, go ahead, David.
So
sure, go ahead.
If it is 60 miles an hour as it exits the coast there, is it possible, and maybe this is impossible to predict, but is it possible that this thing could pick up steam again and then come back for another whack farther up the coast?
Well, what we're seeing driving it out, and yes, in any circumstance where you drop a storm or you make the storm go back out into water, you always really want to know what's driving it and what's going to make it do what. Is it going to continue out into the Atlantic or out into the ocean, or is it going to curve around and make connection with land? And we have seen storms that have done that dance before, but David, Hurricane Center does not believe this storm will do that. It will probably continue to move out toward the Atlantic because it's got a powerful cold front back here. And this is a perfect graphic. Thank you, Samantha, for putting it up to show it to you. So we'll just leave this up for a second while I tell you this is what's going to move the remainder of that storm and all of the moisture
Sam,
for the
I'm
next
sorry.
day and a half.
We'll come back, Sam. We're going to have to come back to this because Florida Governor Rick
Go
Scott.
ahead. We've got the governor.
Yeah, here he is.
This afternoon, Hurricane Michael made landfall near Mexico Beach in Bay County as a